Hi, everyone, and thanks for being with me. There's just so much to talk about. Donald Trump has bombarded us with another issue, that is Gaza, and we are endeavouring to, and the countries around the world are endeavouring to understand exactly what all of that means. And I'll be talking about that later. I'm going to start with this notion that are we responsible for the governments that we elect? Are people in the United States, for example, responsible for the chaos that is Donald Trump? Now, there will be some people on my who'll be watching this video who argue there's no chaos. Well, I think you're living in an alternate universe, and you need to get out of that to understand exactly what's happening in the US and how it's impacting the world generally. And the fact that you have a moron, a yellow coated old man, telling you how the world should be according to his psychopath or psychopathology is an interesting take, I think. So I would suggest to most of you people that do feel, for whatever reason, that Trump is the next coming, that he is the closest thing to God, you need to be able to wake up to the fact that he is anything but godlike. In fact, one could argue, and I do, that he's the Antichrist. So are you here to justify whatever it is done? And are you, as voters of Donald Trump, are you responsible for the chaos that he's caused? And it's an interesting debate. And there was an article in The Conversation a little while back where they talked about this, and I was going to bring that to you so that we could discuss it in some detail. And so the article was entitled, Are Trump Voters Morally Responsible for the Harms That Will Follow from His Policies? And my argument is, or my belief is, yes, you are. We all are, for whoever we vote for, and the consequences that follow from casting that particular vote. The nearly 73 million Americans, who voted for Donald Trump cannot claim ignorance of Trump's racism, misogyny, and his endorsement of white supremacy and white supremacist terrorism. In the lead up to the 2024 US election, Trump falsely claimed that large numbers of unlawful immigrants were being allowed to enter the country to vote, repeating the ideas of the white replacement theory, which claims that legacy white Americans are being replaced more obedient people from faraway countries. In the words of the right-wing commentator Tucker Carlson. Yep, we're going to have to believe whatever Tucker tells us, that's for sure. Trump has also made no secret of his views about women, about LGBTQ plus people, and we're seeing that in terms of the DEI stuff that's happening in the US. Indeed, the Trump campaign made anti-trans ads the biggest focal point of its spending, as laid out in Project 2025, the policy blueprint created by former Trump officials. Now, this article was actually written before claims against DIA highs in the United States. As laid out in Project 24, policy blueprint created former Trump officials, there's little doubt that Trump's presidency will seriously erode the basic rights of LGBTQ plus people, women and immigrants, in addition to seriously threatening progress on climate change. So all of those things have come to pass. So the question is, so are Trump voters racist and misogynist because they voted for a candidate who espouses racism and misogynistic views? And do they bear some responsibility for the outcome of a Trump presidency? Voting is a collective act. This means that in most elections, a single person's vote makes little difference to the outcome. For example, the likelihood that one person's vote will be decisive in a presidential election is about 1 in 6 million. So each Trump voter could say correctly that their vote made no difference to the outcome of the election, and hence they are not responsible for the policies that Trump enacts and the serious harm that those policies are likely to cause thousands, perhaps millions of people. The problem with this view is that a person's moral responsibility is not based on the causal relationship between their actions and a bad outcome. In my work on the war crimes and responsibility, I argue that sometimes a person can be blamed for participating in a harmful collective act even if their participation didn't make a difference to the outcome. Other scholars agree the idea of complicity is one way of capturing this intuition. Sometimes a person is blameworthy for simply being part of a wrongful plan, even if it doesn't go ahead, because they were willing for it to go ahead. And I guess that's my point. My point is that if you voted for Trump, you knew who he was. The fact that you chose an immoral, amoral, disgusting human being to represent any of your views is a strong indicator that you are responsible for whatever follows. It's like if you got swept up in Germany in the 1930s and started to believe that all Jewish people were bad, that they needed to be eradicated, that you bought into the beliefs that were anti-Semitic, and you supported, maybe not voted for, but at least supported those ideas, spread those ideas, talked to other people about them, propagated those views in as many ways as you could, and were therefore a party to what eventually happened in Nazi Germany, then you are responsible. You may not have killed anybody. You may not have even behaved in violent ways towards anybody, but you supported the concept. You were part of the idea. You are therefore part of the problem. And this is what happens in the United States in relation to your support for a man who simply doesn't have a moral compass. So we all need to take responsibility for the outcome. And I believe that those of you who voted for Trump should take responsibility for the outcome. And I think to some extent many people are right at this particular point in time, that they're finding that the things that they voted for, they believed would never happen, that we didn't take this man for his word, that he lies so much that everything that he says is a distortion and he will not enact it. Well, we were warned. You were warned that after his election, he will create chaos, that there will be so many events that will happen one after another that we will become confused. As we see one shiny object, we will focus on that and forget about all the other shiny objects that have been shown to us before. That we will find that the media will struggle to report everything that happens simply because there's a new shiny object to be viewed. So, are you responsible then if you're a Latino and you find that your mum, your dad, and even your children are being deported, but you didn't believe at that particular point when you voted that that was likely to happen? Are you responsible for that? Well, you are, because the man told you who he was. He told you what he was going to do. Ignorance is not an excuse. The fact that you didn't understand the implications for you doesn't make it right, and doesn't mean that you were not at that particular point in time supporting a man who eventually has made choices about the way you are to live your life. If you're a public employee, if you're a public servant, and you voted for Trump, and you're now realizing that you're about to lose your job, if you're an FBI agent who perhaps wasn't too happy with prosecuting January 6th insurrectionists, but you have found that you are on his target list because you were simply doing your job, yet you voted for Trump, are you responsible for that? Well, you are. You are. And there's a lot of people out there now, I think, who have got a sense of buyer's remorse, that you know you've done the wrong thing, that you know that you've created an environment in which Donald Trump wants to be king. And as a result of that, you are going to have to suffer the consequences. So Let me know what you think about anything that I'm saying in the comment section below. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring the bell for further notifications.